All right, here we are on chapter 70, The March Through the City. The main hall of Center City Station was enormous. Wide columns stretched up to an arched ceiling. A huge electronic screen flickered with train schedules. The whole place was bustling with humans and robots, and everyone seemed to know exactly where they were going. Everyone except Roz. There was our robot, standing still in the station while commuters hurried past. She was trying to calculate her next move, and she had to think quickly. You see, a normal robot would never loiter there for long. Roz needed to do something, anything. And when a crew of Razum robots marched past in single file, she could think of no better plan than to join the end of the line and pretend to be one of them. She followed her crew through a set of doors, and suddenly they were outside. The city was a blur of activity. Automobiles hummed down the streets, robots marched along the sidewalks, humans talked and laughed and shouted. Buildings towered overhead, and above them, airships buzzed across the sky. Airships. For a moment, Roz was dreaming again about how easily she could get home with an airship. But reality came crashing back when a white triangular ship darted over. It was gone in an instant, disappearing behind the rooftops, but that was all it took for the robot's survival instincts to flare. Were the Ricos searching for Roz or going about some other business? Roz tried to focus on her immediate surroundings. She was still marching behind that crew of robots. With each step, she grew more nervous that they noticed her tagging along. She wanted to break away. And as they started weaving and shuffling through a crowd of tourists, Roz slowed and stopped, and the robot crew continued on without her. Now Roz was on her own, but she didn't know what to do or where to go. When in doubt, Bright Bill had always guided her north, so our robot set off through the city in that direction. While marching northward, Roz passed beautiful boulevards and architecture and gardens and art, and yet she had to ignore it all. She had to act like a normal robot, and a normal robot would never wander the city admiring beautiful things. Wherever Roz looked, she saw normal robots concentrating on their tasks and on nothing else. They ran errands, delivered food, swept sidewalks, cleaned windows, fixed machines, built glorious structures, and did more jobs than you can possibly imagine. Most walked on two legs, but some rolled on wheels or slid up and down the sides of buildings on tracks. The city was a glittering modern metropolis. PD has a cold. He's on medicine for it, but it doesn't seem to be getting any better. Where humans lived in luxury, all thanks to the tireless work of robots. Roz was marching when the sunlight faded and the city lights brightened. She was marching when the humans went in for the night and the robots continued to work. She was marching when the sun came up and the humans filtered out of their buildings. A new day began in the city, and there was Roz, marching north, blending in, anxiously hoping her son would appear. Chapter 71, The Observations. Sunlight sparkled off the skyline. New buildings were constructed. Old buildings were taken down. Cargo ships docked in the harbor. Delivery trucks unloaded crates. Bright signs flickered with advertisements. Robots worked behind the scenes. Children played in parks. Adults ate and drank at outdoor cafes. The city pulsed with energy, and a wild robot observed it all. Chapter 72, The Police. A pair of police robots stood on the sidewalk while foot traffic glided past them. Their heads swiveled back and forth as they scanned the crowd with their glowing eyes. The police looked menacing, but they sounded friendly. Whenever a human walked by, they say, "Have a nice day," in a perky voice. There were lots of humans walking by, so the police kept repeating their words. "Have a nice day, have a nice day, have a nice day." Our robot was not having a nice day. She was alone in the city. She was worried about her son, and she wanted nothing to do with the police. But she couldn't avoid them. If she turned suddenly, she might draw their attention. So she kept her eyes forward and calmly marched along with the other robots on the street. Roz may have looked calm on the outside, but on the inside her thoughts were scrambled. Were the police dangerous? Did they work with the Ricos? Was she about to be caught? It seemed as if the police were watching Roz. Their eyes lingered on her for a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then they continued scanning the crowd. Our robot felt something like relief when she made it past without incident. She went on her way, just another robot on the street, and those perky voices gradually faded behind her. Have a nice day, have a nice day, have a nice day. Chapter 73, The Pigeons. In the very heart of the city was a great swath of greenery, the old park. It had rolling lawns and flower gardens and dense wooded hills. It had lakes and ponds and fountains. It had playgrounds and benches and miles of cobblestone pathways. It also had pigeons. Thousands and thousands of pigeons. The city pigeons witnessed things you wouldn't believe. Nothing shocked them. They certainly weren't shocked by robots. So when Roz marched into the middle of the park, the pigeons there weren't troubled in the least. She approached a flock that was about 100 birds strong, all cooing and strutting across the cobblestones as if they owned the place. But as Roz stomped closer and closer, the pigeons scuttled out of the way to let her pass by. However, Roz didn't pass by. She stopped and glanced around, and when she saw that she was alone with the pigeons, she started speaking to them in the language of the animals. Hello, pigeons. My name is Roz. The pigeons cocked their heads, which meant, is this robot actually speaking to us? Yes, I am actually speaking to you, continued Roz. I am searching for my son. He is a goose named Brightbill. Have you seen him? For the first time in a long time, the pigeons were shocked. Several of them fluttered away from the talking robot, but most were too curious to leave. One pigeon was so curious that she strutted out from the flock and right up to the robot. Let me get this straight, said the curious pigeon. Your name's Roz, and you've got a son named Brightbill, who's a goose? That is correct. I can't believe it. The pigeon flapped her wings and turned to the others. You guys, this is Roz from Graybeak Stories. Remember? The flock began cooing excitedly. You have heard of Graybeak? Said Roz. Everyone's heard of Graybeak, said the pigeon. A while back, she started telling stories about a goose whose mother was some kind of wild robot. We all thought she was joking, but I guess not. She was not joking, said Roz, but I have lost my son, and I do not know how to find him. Perhaps Graybeak could help. Do you know where she is? I hate to tell you this, Roz, but Graybeak is dead. The pigeons all lowered their heads. You know, life ain't easy for us pigeons. We only live a few years out here if we're lucky, but we were especially sad when we lost Graybeak. She was one of the best. The others cooed in agreement. I am sorry for your loss, said Roz. I wish I had gotten to meet Graybeak. My son was very fond of her. The pigeon gazed up at the robot with a steely look in her eye. Any friend of Graybeak is a friend of ours. If Brightbill is lost, we're going to find him. She turned to the others. You heard me, flocks. Hit the sky and tell every pigeon you see to start searching for a goose named Brightbill. At those words, the flock erupted into flight. Only the robot and the curious pigeon remained. By the way, they call me Strutter, said the pigeon, fluffing out her chest feathers. It is very nice to meet you, Strutter, said the robot. Thank you for searching for Brightville. What can I do to help? You can help by staying put. I want you in this park when we return with your son. Don't hide or wander off and make us go searching for you too. Oh, and another thing, Strutter added. Stay away from the park ranger robot. He spends most of his time taking care of the grounds, but he's always on the lookout for troublemakers. The pigeon gave a quick salute to the robot. Then she joined the search for Brightville. Right? Look at my little Petey back there sitting so nice. All right, I'm going to stop there. I will continue next time. See you later, friends. Well, if I can find the stop button. There we go.